toe right there. They could conceivably get out if you're not going to be drawn back up.
I live out here. I got a plastic boat that's a lot less boat than John boat is. You can get right up in there. It sneaks right along. Right now the tide is deep enough. You're not going to hit anything. If you drown, you don't want to pull them up.
You got a guy right here.
Lots of wide shots. We got lots of medium shots. We've already got 40 minutes worth of video.
Remember, you have the pretty house in downtown Punta Gorda?
Spade.
Can you write anything?
No.
Where's y'all?
Marion Avenue in the professional center? Because we were over there doing the store about the CIA stuff some time back. Yeah, Mr. Friedman, I guess, what is it that brought you out here? Can you tell me a little bit about the dam as well, or how does the city's...
Yeah, well, all of the council people got a telephone call. I was at home, and the city manager's secretary called and advised us that two of the city employees working on the dam were somehow lost hold and fell off the dam. That was about all we heard. And that's all I knew until I came down here. Basically, what we've done the last 2 years is put an extension on the dam of about 8 inches in order to trap more water to ensure a greater number of days reserve water supply. And now that we've hit the rainy season and the water is flowing and will continue to flow rapidly now for the next couple of months during the rainy season, apparently what they were doing now, as they did last year, was removing the 8-inch wooden extension. It was no longer necessary since there should be sufficient water for the next couple of months during the rainy season. And somehow, apparently, both of them must have lost their balance and fallen in, attached to the safety wire, as we just saw.
So that's probably what they were doing, was removing that thing out here?
They were, yeah, I believe they were removing that wooden extension, yes. And fortunately, well, from what you said, they've been in the water for some time now. They both appear to be conscious and moving around, thank God. And with the fine work that we witnessed by the Coast Guard, hopefully all is well, and we'll check with the hospital now to make sure that that in fact is the case.
Yeah. Now, of course, everybody here that's going to hear about it, and especially seeing it, was pulling for them in every way, shape possible. But did you feel a kind of a sense of responsibility since you're with the city and they're your employees? They're
Well,
out here doing...
yeah, you know, we're sort of part-time employees, but it doesn't really make that much difference. They're employees nonetheless, and I think all of the people on council feel a kindred spirit, all the employees, and are concerned for their safety and well-being. And fortunately, it appears that everything is going to turn out okay, and we just hope and pray that when they get to the hospital, it'll just be some minor problems, and they'll be back in no time.
Great.
Was the safety wire installed with the roller dam, or was it installed later?
These wires have been up here the couple of times that I've been out, and I assume it was there for safety purposes, and it would appear that that they were probably strapped to that safety cable, and that's what kept them from being swept downstream. Had that happened, of course, it could have been a lot more serious than apparently it was.
Cool. Meet us off, because I think we're going to have to run to the other side. They're probably going to have a little press conference or something over there.
I was just fixing to stop and buy me a Diet Pepsi.
Yay!
Speed.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay, I guess, Sheriff, can you describe, I guess, you know, what happened here? How proud are you about the way everybody acted?
Oh, everybody worked together very, very well. 2 Punta Gorda City waterworks workers slipped off the dam on a maintenance assignment and fell over the downside of the dam. And police department, sheriff's office, fire rescue came to the scene, assessed the situation, and we decided on the right rescue technique, which was to take the men straight up. Any other way would have been, I think, would not have been the right way to try to rescue them. So we called United States Coast Guard. My Sergeant Ted Broom called them early on, and they had dispatched a helicopter, and that was the right way to rescue those 2 men from down in that water. Very dangerous situation.
Pretty harrowing to be watching from the sidelines and unable to help yourself, though.
Well, we were all feeling the same way. We all wanted to go out there and help them, but we could not do that. As we assessed the situation and the best way to effect a rescue, the only thing we could have done was straight up. So we looked at the option of using the sheriff's helicopter and some of our equipment, but the Coast Guard is trained. They have the best possible equipment and training. They were the right people for the job, and they came in and did an excellent job of rescuing those 2 workers.
Great. I'll leave it short and simple.
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Let me see if I can grab some rescue type people. Excuse me.
There is an old, getting a good picture? Little tiny over there by the
Hey, Keith. I was wondering if we could get somebody from here that can talk a little bit about the interaction and the guy.
Hey.
So are you the one who put the fire? $50 with the fire?
Fire marshal guy came out.
Well, I
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't,
Hold on a second.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what I was wondering is what kind of interaction was there with the people when you realized that they were hanging on? You know, how did you kind of keep communications? What were they saying? What was happening?
Well, there's so much force coming down, they're hearing, they just can't hear anything because there's a lot of rumbling down here. So we were trying hand signals, we tried grease boards, and we tried PA systems, and none of those were really effective because of the noise from the rumbling.
We were hearing what you're saying. You kept telling them, like, be back in 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 8
Right.
minutes. What kind of stuff were you yelling or trying to get to them?
Well, we wanted them to know that, one, we had the boats in the water, so we told them that as loudly as we could. Two, that the helicopter was en route. It took a little longer than expected because they have things to do. But once they started, and we knew more about where they were, we tried to tell them that kind of information, just to give them some reassurance that they weren't out there alone.
Now, what kind of force, how hard was it, do you think, for them to kind of breathe? I mean, I imagine they're holding on, and then they've got water rushing on them.
Well, if you take this water, and water weighs 8.35 pounds per gallon, and this is flowing at hundreds and hundreds of gallons a minute, you can imagine being hit by that all the time, continuously for up to an hour and 15, 20 minutes. So they were being beat up really bad. They're going to be really, really sore tomorrow, and now they're doing pretty well, I understand.
Now, were they attached by, like, some kind of harness or something to that wire?
They were wearing what I'm calling, for lack of a better definition right now, is a Class 3 harness, which goes around your shoulders, around your chest, and around your legs. And it's got a ring on the back, a big D ring we call it, and that's what they attached to with a strap to the cable. And that's what they were hanging on by, was just that one little cable.
Did that make it hard to get them off then? Because I imagine, I saw when, like, the frogmen came in,
Yeah.
how did they get them off?
When the Coast Guard diver comes in, he attaches them to his harness, so they can't lose it. Of course, now he gets pulled down. The idea is to get up and cut the strap. Of course, where you're bouncing around out there, cutting the strap is a little more tricky. But they finally did get that done. Okay?
Thank
Sure.
you. Yeah, I want to get that kind of nuts and bolts stuff from you, because we could hear what you were saying, but I didn't know if...
My personal opinion, I think you could. But
rushing over this dam at a rate of several hundred gallons. I just don't want you to wobble. You bet wobble, and I don't want you falling off this thing. Ready? Yep. 3, 2, 1. In addition to the emotional pressure, the water pressure was extreme. The 3, 2, 1. In addition to the emotional pressure, the water pressure was extreme. Experts say the water running over this dam is going at a rate of hundreds of gallons of... Hundreds of gallons. They're crawling on me too. Ready? 3, 2, 1. In addition to the emotional pressure, the water pressure was extreme. Experts say it's running over this dam at a rate of several hundred gallons per minute. Another? 3, 2, 1. In addition to the emotional pressure, the... 3, 2, 1. In addition to the emotional pressure, the water pressure was extreme. Experts say it's running over this dam at a rate of several hundred gallons per minute. Okay?
yeah,
Does it look good or no?
looks great.
Let's do a stand-up tease then. Want to stand up for it? Under rushing water. Imagine coming up to a wall of water. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Imagine clinging to a wall of water. Imagine hanging on to a wall. Ew.
give me a one-arm hug.
Goodness. My dad told me what was going on. How you doing,
This
all
is
right?
Bob's daughter. This is
Hi,
Steve.
how you doing? You heard so much about you. You know he's in the hospital again.
No.
Yeah, he's got pneumonia.
Probably gonna be out today though. Yeah. How you doing? All right?
Yeah,
How
the
about
arm's
you?
numb.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
His leg's messed up, so you know.
We're on
Put us
light
both
duty.
together, you have a whole worker.
Yeah, or maybe 3/4 of one, huh?
Yeah, maybe 3/4.
Jeez, you guys. Well, at least you've got, you know, life. That's a plus.
Life.
Yep.
Yes.
Something other than that. Jimmy.
Leave it to us.
It's just what he needed too, you know?
All right.
On top of everything else, it's just what you need.
All right.
Okay, I'm just gonna scoot by you.
You're fine.
Thanks.
By the way, I can hear both of you, and I can see both of you, and we're recording. Which one of you is Jim?
Me.
Okay. Say your name and spell it for me.
James Moss, James-Moss.
CW?
C.W. Leahew, and it's spelled C.W. and then L-E-H-E-W.
Okay. Tell me about a Friday, a week and a half ago. What happened?
Well, I lost my footing. Felt CW's hand on my full body harness. Held on as long as I could until I just let go and fell down in the water and tried to find footing. And then once I found my footing, I wanted to know where CW was, make sure he was all right, and I saw him just a couple feet from me. And then we just got beat up. I was holding on, stabilizing myself with my right arm on my tether until my arm would go completely numb, and then I'd have to put it down by my side to get feeling back in it. CW and I were both hollering at one another, "You still with me? You still with me?" And we said several times, we went in it together, we're going to go all the way through it together and get out of it together, so.
And now we're here in the city on light duty together.
Yeah.
For you, I guess, Jim, right?
Correct.
For you, it must have been, so you lost your footing first. It must have been horrifying, I guess, because realizing, okay, you're tethered to the harness, but you're both there, I guess obviously one looking after the other. Knowing that you'd fallen, it must have been horrifying for you to look over and realize at one point, oh, great, both of us are here.
Right.
You know, expecting, you know, maybe.
I actually tried to save Jim. I tried to pull him back up on the dam, and I had him almost there, and then a sudden gush of water took my feet out from underneath of me, and then he fell down, and then I ended up going up head over heels into the water, right beside of him, basically. And then the Coast Guard came and plucked us out of there.
It was a little bit of a wait. What did you guys
Yes.
What did you guys talk about while you were there? I mean,
Well-
or did you talk? Could you?
Well, we had to really, for one of us to hear one another, we had to actually scream at one another because the noise was so loud because of the water falling. And we just kept asking each other if we're all right and hang in there. And
Kind of reassuring each other we were still there for the other person. You know, he would holler at me, and then I'd holler back at him, and to let each other know, because I couldn't really see him because I was hung up in the harness, and I was twisted around looking toward the north side of the dam, and he was actually behind me, and the way the water was coming down, the pressure, it wouldn't allow me to turn around.
Really?
You know, and I was just trying to keep my footing on the rocks, try to find another rock to tiptoe onto, because the rocks are rolling around from all the water coming over the dam.
This is your first day back at work.
First day back.
First day.
Are you feeling better?
It's getting better every day.
Every day. Yeah. I don't know about the light duty stuff though. You know, I'd like to get back out there and
Do our regular job.
do our regular job.
I was gonna say, I mean, you've obviously got to have ants in your pants to get out there. You guys are saying you work outside a lot. You used to work outside a lot.
Right.
I work with our hands, and you know, obviously I'm one-handed now until the doctor releases us.
You obviously plan on going back out there,
Yeah.
getting back on the horse, as it were. What's your plan of action the first chance you get to get back? What are you gonna do?
Just concentrate on the job at hand.
Do our job at hand, you know.
Yeah, just like we were doing that day. We were doing our work assigned to us, so get back in the thick of it.
Obviously, stupid question. Do you guys feel like you could have done anything different that would have, you know, prevented that or made a difference, or is it just one of those things?
It's just one of those things. It was a job at hand, and the city didn't force us on the dam. We was just doing the job at hand at the time. And the city goes out above and beyond providing us with proper safety equipment and training. We followed all the procedures by the book, and it's just one of them things that happened.
I guess if you could attribute, I mean, there was a danger that you guys might not have come back that day.
Sure, there was a danger.
I mean, we probably don't need to touch on that. But if you guys could attribute, there's the fact that you are standing here to one individual thing, what would it be?
United States Coast Guard.
United States Coast Guard.
And John Rice, that man that came out of the helicopter that picked us out of the water. But you got to understand that Coast Guard effort was a team effort.
Yeah.
That pilot, Lieutenant Eric Smith, he can't see down out of the helicopter when he's flying it. He's got to depend on a team, and the guy that's on the winch cable, he's got to tell the pilot through communications that's internal on the helicopter, left, right, forward, back, and he's got to depend on him. And John Rice is down in the water. He's got to depend on that winch guy seeing his hand signals to tell him which way to go. So it's a team effort.
When you guys see the video, you're really going to be amazed, because I was impressed at how that chopper did. I've been in choppers before, and they do this.
That chopper
didn't move.
Like standing on this
It's like standing on this concrete sidewalk. It's solid as a rock. And I don't think we could have had any better crew dispatched to pick us up.
Yeah.
It took them 26 minutes from the time they got the call till the time they were picking us out of the water. But we was actually in the water an hour and a half.
What's your plan of action till you can get back to work? How long is it going to be till we can get you guys back out on the dam?
Back out on the dam? I'm not going back out on the dam.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Tried to take us once. It's not going to get a second opportunity, even if there's no water going over it. Just one of those things, it's...
Learned your lesson?
Yeah.
The city's looking at other alternatives to doing it other than plywood at this point. They got studies going on and looking at other alternatives, so that'll make our job easier.
How long is it going to be till you guys can get back to doing what you're normally doing?
It all depends on my arm and
my leg.
Doctor,
We go back to see the doctor tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens from there. But my leg is healing. And the doctor told me when I was there last week that it's probably not going to require surgery. It'll heal up with medication and on its own. So, he's going to re-examine me tomorrow, and I know he's going to re-examine him tomorrow. So, I guess it depends on the doctor when they're going to let us go back to do our normal job.
Is there anything I'm missing here? What am I failing to address? You guys have anything you want to say? That's done.
The only other thing I think we can address is how the city, all the city employees are like a family.
Carry a knife on me.
And you thought about it?
And I thought about it and saw the water boiling out there, and knew that if I had cut myself loose, I'd have not only left CW hanging there, but then who knows what would
Did you guys
happen.
have life jackets on?
We had life jackets,
full body
harnesses,
and tether.
tether.
What about after the boat got there? I know I saw the boat sitting there, 50 feet from you.
I was
sitting there for
I was
30,
actually
45 minutes.
I was actually afraid for the boat to come to us because we would have 4 more people in the water. The hydraulics of that dam is pretty powerful when it gets the nose of that boat up close there, and it would have turned that boat over. Basically, I knew that they couldn't do anything. They were trying to communicate with us, but we couldn't hear nothing they had to say.
Couldn't hear them.
Did you give that a serious consideration once the boat showed up? Did you consider cutting the harness?
No, I had thought about it prior to that, see if I could just, swim out.
But probably by the time the boat got there, you're probably too tired to even think about it.
Nice.
I figured there had to be a better way of them getting us out of there, and I knew we had a good safety man on shore, and I knew if there's any way of getting us out of there, he was going to figure out a way of getting us out of there. It didn't matter who we had to call.
You want to give credit to your...
I want to give credit to the city because of I feel like all city employees are like a little family here, and they look out after one another, and even our city manager and our utilities director, they were standing there the last to leave when we got in the helicopter. I remember looking down when I was going up to cable, and those two were standing there in all that prop wash, making sure that we was safe. And I think they're going beyond and call to take care of us, I mean, they could have just had us sitting home doing nothing, but they want to make sure we get paid and want to make sure we're taken care of. All of our health care is taken care of. They're just doing a great job, fantastic job.
We got interviews with them, by the way, on that particular day. Anything else I'm missing? If not, I'm gonna wander back inside with you guys and get some shots of you working today, if that's all right. What do they have you doing right now?
What have I been doing? Flipping newspapers and answering the phone. And
I've been copying and supposed to do some filing and...
Probably kind of agonizing for you.
Yeah, when we're used to being outdoors and working with our hands.
But you got us out here in the sunshine for a little while. Right?
That's where I like to stand anyway. Alrighty. Huh?
Lunchtime.
I'll follow you guys in if you want. Try to get some pictures of you here. Ooh. Going in the back way?
Yeah, he's got to take the elevator.
Ah.
It's easier.
It's easier to get the elevator. Your lunch?
He's going to lunch, and I'm going. I don't think I can have this.
The Gorda employees holding on for dear life after falling into a dam on Shell Creek.
If they had come loose or had been gotten loose somewhere or something had torn loose from them, they would have gone down, I think, in the hydraulics. I don't think they would have come out.
Local rescue crews helpless, unable to reach James Moss and C.W. Lehue as they're gasping for air.
We've had incidents out here in the past where people have drowned. That water, the draft will pull boats underneath, and there's big riprap rocks underneath there, so if they tried to float them out down the creek, it would not have worked.
Little more than an hour after falling in, the men get the help they're looking for. A Coast Guard chopper arrives, and a rescue diver is lowered into the rapids. He struggles to cut the first man free and finally hauls him in. The second rescue was a little more tricky, but after 5 more minutes, both men were safe. The 2 men were hooked to a safety line before they made their way across this dam, but once they fell in, the force of the dam made the rescue nearly impossible.
If you're going to use a scale of 1 to 10, this is going to be a 10, in my opinion, because there's so much forces here that you can't see and can't anticipate. It looks like just a very peaceful running of the water, but it's not.
I mean, I guess that would be the only way, because that current is so rough in there. Even if you were to fall off the bank, it would sweep you down fast.
After their amazing ordeal, both Moss and Lehue were utterly exhausted, but miraculously, they're both going to be okay. In Punta Gorda, David Karsh, SNN.
If it had not been for this helicopter crew getting to the scene at the time they did, I know we would have lost these 2 fine gentlemen that work for our city.
Punta Gorda Mayor Marilyn Smith expressing her gratitude to the Coast Guard crew who rescued 2 city employees after they fell into Hendrickson Dam.
That was like adrenaline overload, just being down there in the moment and then picking them up and finding them alive. Like when I reached down the cable and I felt him grab me, I was like, this guy's alive. And then I pulled him up and it was a great feeling.
C.W. Lehue and James Moss said they felt their lives slipping away until the daring chopper rescue.
I wouldn't have felt good going home and never coming back and saw these people, and at least say thank you to them face to face.
I'm real happy to come up here and actually shake their hand, you know, give them a friendly hug and say thanks. Thanks for saving my life.
The 5-member crew was presented with plaques, medals, and each received a key to the city of Punta Gorda.
Oh, honestly, everybody likes a little pat on the back every now and then. It's nice, you know, it's what we do, and it's nice to know that people respect you for what you do.
The crew members say the awards and attention are nice, but saving lives is just part of the job.
That's what we're in the business for, to save lives, you know. We can't worry about, you know, being heroes all the time. You know, if we let that get to our head, then we start slipping.
At the Coast Guard Air Base in St. Petersburg, David Karsh, SNN.
A gripping rescue, literally, at a Florida dam. Check this out. 2 men stuck in cold, rushing water for an hour and a half. Meet the survivors and one of the heroes who rescued them on the other side. Stay with us on American Morning. Boy, were they lucky. Ahead on American Morning, a happy ending after a terrifying hour and a half. Meet the 2 men who were clinging for their lives in the whitewaters at a Florida dam site, and the hero who actually pulled them free right after the break.
And we are back at 14 minutes after the hour. You know, there's a saying in the Coast Guard: the difficult we do immediately, the impossible takes a little time. Well, 2 Florida utility workers are alive and well this morning after a Coast Guard crew did the near impossible for them. The 2 workers fell from a dam into a raging creek. You see the pictures here. And they were in that water for some 90 minutes, suspended between life and death, tethered only to a safety cable that you can't even see there. A Coast Guard helicopter arrived and pulled them from the water. And we're going to hear some more now about this incredible rescue. Joining us are Jim Moss and C.W. Lehue, the 2 men who nearly died. They're on the outside of your picture there. And one of their rescuers is Coast Guard rescue swimmer John Rice. You see him there in the center. And they are all in Tampa this morning. Guys, I have to say, first off, it's good to see you. I'm sure you got to be feeling the same exact way.
Good to see you.
Hey, listen, first of all, Jim and C.W., what exactly were you doing on that dam?
We was doing general maintenance of the dam that we do twice a year, and it was routine, and we slipped off.
All right, if it's routine, how do you slip, though? I mean, this is the kind of thing you do on a regular basis, right?
Well, it's routine as far as it's twice a year. When the dry season comes, we put an extension on the dam, and when the wet season comes, which we're experiencing now, we take the plywood back out so that it reduces the level of the water in the reservoir.
All right, in the process of taking that plywood out, that's when the 2 of you slipped. Who slipped first? Because as I heard the story, one of you slipped and the other one fell after trying to reach for him. Is that correct?
Yes, I slipped first. I don't know if it was on the piece of plywood or just the rushing water took my feet out, and I felt CW grab a hold of my full body harness, and I held onto the cable going across the dam as long as I could until I had no more strength and fell off.
I got to ask you this. How many times have you seen this videotape? And when you have seen it, what in the world are you thinking?
Thank God.
Thank God for the Coast Guard
and John.
And John. John is the one that came out of that helicopter, and that's an angel from the sky for me.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm sure Jim felt the same way.
All right. Well, Angel, John. I'm sorry, John. Well, hey, John. First of all, you know what surprised me was to find out that the Coast Guard would actually be called in on a case like this. Do you handle cases like this on a regular basis, or what?
Not normally. This was it's pretty much was a special case. Normally we do with a lot of offshore cases. This one was special due to the swiftwater rescue, and definitely not offshore.
Well, how do you coordinate something like this, John? I mean, the water levels, the noise down there has got to be so loud that there's no way these men can hear you. So you can't talk to them, could you? Could you talk to them to at least explain to them what you were trying to do? How did you work that out and coordinate that?
Well, basically, through my crew, Lieutenant Eric Smith, and Graham Stewart, and my flight mechanic, Zach McFarland, we pretty much had 20 minutes to brief before we got on scene, and then from there, went out the door and direct deployed down the CW here. Didn't have a preference of who I was going to take at first, but CW, I noticed, had a line attached around his neck, and it was cutting off his airway, so I had to act a little more quicker due to the lanyard around his neck.
Well, speaking of which, Jim, rather, how were you breathing down there? From what I could tell, it looked like you were totally submerged.
Well, after they took CW's weight off of the cable, it pulled the column of water from my right shoulder to the back of my head. And between me pushing back on the column of water and the water pushing me, I went under the dam. And to the right of me was the wall of the dam with the column of water going over top of me, which was a big air pocket under there. Otherwise, I couldn't really breathe because of the column of water. It was horrendous.
Did you think you were gone then?
I thought that several times. Several times I thought that.
Yeah. How about you, CW?
I never thought I'd see my wife again.
Is that what you were thinking?
When I was in the water, because our local fire and rescue, they had no means of getting us out of there, and that's why the Coast Guard was called in.
Boy, I tell you, this is incredible pictures, incredible story, and boy, we are sure glad you were able to come in and join us this morning and share it with us all. Jim Moss, C.W. Lehue, and John Rice in Tampa, Florida. Thank you very much for talking with us. John, great job.
Thank
and you know something? These two guys should be getting you a very nice Christmas gift this year.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Good luck, gentlemen.
Okay.
Thank you.
You look at the tight close-up of the actual Coast Guard rescue taking place, and it looked like it was touch and go.
That's
you could see the suction of the water.
Yeah, and as I understand it, too, that with that water, it may not have looked like it was that very high dam, but the pressure still, that water moving that fast was so strong and so hard, these men were totally pinned. And even though the rocks are slippery, they still couldn't move. That is just, it's a frightening to think about. Yeah.
Very lucky indeed.
Yeah, boy.
Still ahead, a dramatic new approach.
Men in our area say they wouldn't be alive today if it weren't for the U.S. Coast Guard. The two city workers who ended up trapped in the Shell Creek Dam lived to tell about it. And as SNN's Julie Tremmel tells us, the men even have the guts to revisit the place where they say they almost met their maker.
Jim slipped, and I grabbed a hold of Jim to try to get him back up on the dam, and then a sudden gush of water pushed us both over.
Punta Gorda city workers James Moss and C.W. Lehue were trying to move a wooden flow control device from the Shell Creek Dam when they toppled into the water. And from that moment on, for an hour and a half, the two could only dangle in the rapids, fighting for their lives. Now they're back on dry land, reflecting on the accident.
Yeah, it kind of takes my breath away because it about took me, and CW. You know, we about lost our lives right there.
My whole life went through my eyes when I was hanging down there, and I thought I would never see my wife again. and now I'm okay, and we're going back to work. I gave the dam one shot. I'm not going to give it a second.
CW wasn't sure he wanted to see the dam again, but like he did Friday, he muscled through his fear and came back to talk about the rescue.
They gave us the helicopter sign again, and then the big orange and white helicopter come, and I knew I was safe then.
I saw his shadow through the column of water, and I knew somebody was there. And so I reached for him, and once I grabbed a hold of him, I wasn't letting go.
The two safety harnesses that saved the men's lives still hangs from the stainless steel cable. Both CW and James hope to bring the two lines home once the water goes down and they're able to retrieve them.
The only thing I can say is if it wasn't for the United States Coast Guard, I wouldn't be standing here today.
Both men say it was the Coast Guard's quick response and team effort that saved their lives.
We can't thank them enough. They were our angels from heaven.
And it makes sense, since they did come in from the sky. In Punta Gorda, Julie Tremmel, SNN.
CW and James agree that the dam accident has brought them closer and taught them to stop and enjoy life. Both men have a doctor's permission to get back to work on Monday, but rest assured they don't plan to venture out on a dam like that ever again. For more on the rescue, be sure to check out Mike Scarcella's article in Wednesday's Herald Tribune, or you can log on to theheraldtribune.com.
Sarasota, a main water line break has shut down the flow of wastewater to the southwest. Two Punta Gorda city workers rescued after being...
City leaders paid a visit to the Coast Guard base in St. Petersburg to personally thank the rescue crew. SNN's David Karsh was there for the emotional ceremony.
If it had not been for this helicopter crew getting to the scene at the time they did, I know we would have lost these two fine gentlemen that work for our city.
Punta Gorda Mayor Marilyn Smith expressing her gratitude to the Coast Guard crew who rescued two city employees after they fell into Hendrickson Dam.
That was like adrenaline overload, just being down there in the moment and then picking them up and finding them alive. Like when I reached down the cable and I felt them grab me, I was like, this guy's alive. And then I pulled him up, and it was a great feeling.
C.W. Lehue and James Moss said they felt their lives slipping away until the daring chopper rescue.
I wouldn't have felt good going home and never coming back and saw these people, and at least say thank you to them face to face.
I'm real happy to come up here and actually shake their hand, give them a friendly hug and say thanks. Thanks for saving my life.
The five-member crew was presented with plaques, medals, and each received a key to the city of Punta Gorda.
Oh, honestly, everybody likes a little pat on the back every now and then. It's nice, it's what we do, and it's nice to know that people respect you for what you do.
The crew members say the awards and attention are nice, but saving lives is just part of the job.
That's what we're in the business for, to save lives. We can't worry about, being heroes all the time. If we let that get to our head, then we start slipping.
At the Coast Guard Air Base in St. Petersburg, David Karsh, SNN.
James Moss and C.W. Lehue are back at work for the city of Punta Gorda on a limited basis. The Coast Guard rescue crew says they've built up a strong bond with both Moss and Lehue.
Outwardly, Sarasota County...
I saw them pull them out. Yeah, I saw that. But did you get to see both of them coming out? I just saw one coming out. That's all I could make out for sure. Yes, I just got here at the very end of it, so I didn't see much of the operation.
What did you all see? I mean, what did who's that? What do you think about that? I mean, what's...
I don't know really what happened. All I saw them was lifting at least one person up in the helicopter. I don't know whether they were in a boat, whether there were city workers removing the planks from the dam, which were put up there to raise the capacity during the drought. I'm not sure. People who were here earlier could have given you more information, but we just got here at the very end.
What's your name?
My name's Jim.
Jim?
Contis.
Can you spell that for us?
G-O-N-T-I-S.
Gotcha.
I'm here to see what happened.
We came here.
When the fire truck and everything was coming down.
Tell me what you saw, though. Tell me, wow.
Oh, we didn't really see much. We just noticed at the end of the road, the guy said that a couple of guys had fallen off the dam trying to take the boards off. And then we came back over here. A friend of mine lives in this house and just started trying to see if we could see what was going on.
Oh, man. Did you see when they pulled the first guy out?
Yeah. No, we didn't see the first guy. The last guy just now. But
kind of describe for me what you saw.
Well, we just seen basically right there the cables hanging in the water. The people were on the cables there. I guess their safety harness, they always hook on that cable. And then I guess the diver just went down there and kept trying to get his body up so they could get him out of the water. But that's pretty horrendous because that current's so bad right there. Once you get swept, you aren't coming out.
What water is this? What body of water is this?
This is the Three Rivers Shell Creek Dam is what this is right here.
That water's pretty rough in there.
Yeah, well, the reservoir for the fresh water holds all the water back up, and I guess it's been almost a year ago they put like 6 or 8 inches of wood across the top of it to hold more water back in the dry season, I guess, and now I guess they're taking it down because it was really rushing to try to stop it from flooding.
How did the guys look when they were pulling them out? Could you tell they
it looked like the one guy we just saw was dead, definitely deceased. I mean,
the second guy?
From the second guy. We didn't see the first guy get pulled up, but when we came here, it's probably been an hour ago since it first happened. Maybe even a little more. But if they'd been down there that long, they're definitely deceased.
Were they under the water, or where were they?
Yes, the current, he had a safety cable. You can see that cable going across the dam, and the safety cable's hooked to that, and they walk across it. And then I guess they just lost their footing and fell in. And once you get locked behind that current, that wall of water right there, it just kept holding them down, and they couldn't get up. So that had to be pretty bad. And I wouldn't suspect they'd lived. They were underwater too long.
Man, what's your name, sir?
Tommy.
Tom? Tommy?
Yes, yep.
And your last name?
Tucker.
Tucker? You live in Punta Gorda, or?
Yeah, I'm right down the road. A friend of mine lives in this house right here. That's why we came by, just to get a closer look.
CKER?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, man?
I think I'm wet.
What'd you all do?
Yeah, I was one of the ones out on the boat, the Punta Gorda city's boat, and just a safety precaution with the divers, just in case they did slip or whatever, if the chopper wouldn't come in.
Oh, you divers?
Yeah, the divers were on the boat in case they slipped and they for some reason something else happened. But they looked exhausted, but they look like they'll be all right.
What do you mean, the guys in the chopper?
No, the two in the water, they were pretty much exhausted.
Oh, the guys who fell in?
Yeah, so they've been out there probably about almost hour and 15 minutes. So they're from what they're saying on the radio, they sound like they'll be all right though. So.
Oh, really? What were they doing? What is this out here? The shell?
Yeah, the Shell Creek Dam. From what I can hear,
what they're telling me. There's some logs and debris out there. I guess we're going to clear it. You can get with the Punta Gorda, the city, and find out exactly what they were doing out there, but that's what I got the gist of.
So you were watching them in the water while they were pulling them up. Were they talking or anything, or were they moving around?
They were talking to each other, encouraging each other to keep holding on. They were lifelined off to the cable that runs across there. They were lifelined off, but they were getting tired. So.
What were they saying? Were they talking to you guys at all?
No, well, they couldn't really hear us because of the water rushing. We were just trying to reassure them, that Coast Guard was on the way, so on and so forth. So they're gonna be tired. So hopefully they'll be all right. So.
What's your name?
Okay. Again, what's your name?
Lee Presley, Deputy Presley.
Deputy Presley, Charlotte County?
Yeah, Charlotte County.
Thank you.
P-R-E-S-L-E-Y?
P-R-E-S-S-L-E-Y.
S-S-L-E-Y.
Yeah, if you need anything, you can talk to Donna Black.
Just get us the basics.
Apparently, 2 Punta Gorda water plant workers were doing some maintenance work on the dam you see behind me, and they're tethered to a line, but apparently something happened and they both slipped off. I don't know whether one slipped off, one tried to help them, but they ended up both down on the downside of the dam. Very, very dangerous situation. And once we all got on the scene, the police department, myself for the sheriff's office, fire EMS, we assessed the situation, and one of my sergeants, Sergeant Ted Broom, called immediately for the United States Coast Guard to come in and do a rescue, and that was the best option, and they did a magnificent job. Both men are safe, and they tell me they're walking around in the hospital.
That's great.
Coast Guard, this was a very dangerous situation. Those men could have lost their lives very easily because our options were very, very few under the circumstances of the dam, just the dynamics of the water and the undertow and the swiftness of the water, the power of the water. We had to take them straight up with some kind of an air rescue.
So the quick action probably saved their lives.
Absolutely. I credit Sergeant Broom because he said right out of the gate we needed to take them straight up. We weighed using our helicopter, which we don't have the training and equipment for. It was not the first option, and we got a hold of the U.S. Coast Guard, and of course they dispatched a rescue helicopter straight away, and that was the right move under this very dangerous situation.
So again, what body of water is this?
This is Shell Creek.
Shell Creek.
This is part of the water system for the city of Punta Gorda. They control the dam and all that, and it's conjuncted with their water treatment facilities on Washington Loop, and they maintain the dam as part of their water supply system.
Okay, and they were doing some maintenance?
Maintenance on the dam, yes.
Oh, what time did the call come in?
I don't know. Probably around like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Gotcha, and they were 2 Punta Gorda City employees?
2 Punta Gorda City employees, and they're both up and walking around, so we think that's excellent. Everybody did a wonderful job. I credit the fire rescue and the Punta Gorda Police Department and the Sheriff's Office for coming together, setting up a command center, deciding what needed to be done, and activating that plan right away, and the men are safe.
That's great. How long were they in the water?
A good hour and 15 minutes, I believe.
So pretty tired, but the good news is
that's what they tell me, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That guy was in the guys were up and walking.
We'll be more than glad to call you anytime we have a problem. Thursday night, okay. Nope, I'm going to be off by then. I get off at 6 o'clock. You're going to be there? Well, if I'm around, look me up. Okay, thanks. Again, thank you so much. Thank that air crew for us. They did a fantastic job. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Pretty good job, huh?
They did a wonderful job.
What was their actions that were out of the ordinary? I mean, was there what was talking about the swift movement? What actually all took place?
At one point, we thought we had lost one of the subjects in the water, and we could not see him, and he was totally gone. It appears that he went into the air cavity underneath the water, under the overflow. As the water flows over the dam, it has a little bit of a cavity underneath, and he was in there. Apparently, the rescue jumper was able to see him and got him out of there. Rescued both people. One from the Coast Guard.
Wow. And who were you just on the phone with just now?
I was just on the Coast Guard with Fort Myers, thanking them for their service.
Sheriff Clements said it was your quick thinking that saved these guys.
I don't know if it was my quick thinking so much, but I've dealt with the Coast Guard before, and I am a boater myself, and I rely heavily on the Coast Guard. It's a fantastic organization, phenomenally underfunded.
These guys are up and walking around at the hospital already.
That is the report that I've heard, is that they're up and walking around.
Has it surprised you, or did you think when they pulled them out they looked like they were going to make it?
I was pretty sure they were going to make it as long as we could get them out of the water. Because they were up to the point where they were both pulled out of the water, although they were very tired, looking very exhausted. They did not appear to be at death's door yet.
It's a good day, then.
It was a good day.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate
And is it Dennis?
Sergeant?
Sergeant, is it Dennis?
Ted.
Ted. What did I say, Dennis? I'm thinking.
That's Dennis.
Coming up on Now See This.
The water hit me, it pinned me to the very bottom, and it just kept churning.
Firefighters face a backdraft and are literally blown away. A driver in distress
There is a board explorer over the edge of the overpass.
is hanging by a tread. And badass bikers learn why this run is called the Kamikaze Drop. When we say it's fast, furious, and in your face, that's no bull. Think you've seen it all? Now see this. After an afternoon of rain, parts of Florida's Shell Creek can be positively picturesque. But just upstream is an image of horror. C.W. Lehue and Jim Moss were working on the top of the Punta Gorda Dam when one slipped into the frothing water, taking both of them down. Now their safety lines are the only things saving them from certain death. Charlotte County Sheriff and fire rescue crews have been unsuccessful in their attempts. So an emergency call is made to the top guns of water rescue, the U.S. Coast Guard. C.W. and Jim have been beaten by the deluge for over an hour. Their strength is gone. But as Coast Guard rescue swimmer John Rice descends into the tumultuous waters, he's not feeling as strong as usual either.
I'd never worked in swift water, so I had to call upon all my training and just kind of do my best.
The water immediately grabs John's respect and attention.
The water hit me, it pinned me to the very bottom, and it just kept churning. At that point, I knew that the magnitude of the rescue was not going to be easy.
Once his team winches him out of the torrent, John realizes one of the men has more than water threatening to kill him.
CW actually had a lanyard tied around his neck, and it was actually cutting off his airway. So that increased the magnitude and the urgency to get him free so he could breathe.
Descending again, John puts the rescue sling around CW and tries to find his knife to cut him free. But the avalanche of water makes every task a challenge. Finally, the line is severed, and CW is on his way up. The team makes a quick assessment of his injuries. But John's fellow rescuer, Zach, observes a chilling development in the water below.
Zach touched my shoulder and was like, "John, he just went under."
Jim Moss has disappeared. It appears he succumbed to the dam's deluge. John Rice heads down again, knowing he may only find Jim's lifeless body. He follows the safety line down under the surface. As he reaches the end, he prepares for the worst and yanks on the dead weight.
But the water pulls the line out of John's hand. He takes hold again, and this time, Jim's head emerges from behind the wall of water.
He just let out this massive gasp of air like he had been holding his breath for a very long time.
Unbelievably, Jim is alive. John cuts his safety line and holds on tight, riding skyward to the awaiting helicopter.
After they released CW's weight from the cable, the current was so strong that it just basically closed off any path of air. So I went back under the column of water. To the right of me was the dam wall, and over top of me was a column of water, and I had like a channel through there where I could just basically hang there and breathe.
Miraculously, 15 minutes after escaping the water's grip, both men were up and walking in the hospital, when they easily could have been lying in the morgue.
There's no doubt in my mind that both of those men thought that they were going to die.
I thought I'd probably never see my wife again, but I figured that I could hang in there as long as I could.
But to hang on for over an hour, CW and Jim needed support. Support they got from each other.
Back and forth hollering at one another, "You all right?" "Yeah, I'm all right. Are you all right?" We went in it together. We're going all the way through it together.
I knew good and well when I saw that orange and white helicopter come across that tree line, I knew I was in good hands and I was going to get out of that.
The two men never lost hope, but without their miracle from above, they wouldn't have survived.
The Coast Guard's definitely our angels from heaven. They saved our lives.
It's rush hour in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, and traffic is even more backed up than usual. A desperate 911 call reveals why.
There is a Ford Explorer that just is hanging over the edge of the overpass over 46A. I mean, he's hanging by like a tire or something.
28-year-old waitress Christine McMichael was driving to work when she had to slam on her brakes to avoid an accident. Her SUV flipped over the guardrail, and now the truck is hanging from the edge of the overpass, 50 feet above the highway below. The first rescuers to arrive make a startling discovery. The only thing suspending the vehicle is a 1/8-inch bolt on the undercarriage that's snagged on the ledge. Even the slightest movement could cause the unstable SUV to plummet to the asphalt below, meaning certain death for this wife and mother of an 8-month-old son. Christine desperately wants to climb out, but until more help arrives, she must remain perfectly still as she relies on the tiny piece of metal to restrain the 2-ton truck. An agonizing half-hour later, rescuers from the Sanford Fire Department arrive on scene, accompanied by tow trucks and a rescue crane. As one crew slowly rides the rescue basket toward the dangling SUV, other workers delicately use cables and chains to anchor the teetering truck on the overpass. Moments later, the basket glides into position above the open passenger side window. It's like threading a needle on a high wire as the rescuers carefully drop a harness down to Christine. After a torturous hour spent remaining perfectly still, strapping on a harness is an unnerving task. Especially when Christine's every movement causes the truck to creak and shift beneath her. But once the harness is on, an even more terrifying part of the rescue begins. Christine must climb up through the passenger window. It's the farthest, most precarious 5 feet she's ever traveled. But at last, she's out of her dangling steel coffin and into the hands of the Sanford rescue team. As she rides back to solid ground, Christine's mind replays her ordeal, starting with a harrowing realization just after the crash.
I remember looking down out the driver's side window, and I could see the road below, and I could see the cars going by, and at that point I thought, oh my gosh, I'm hanging from the bridge.
Christine had a cell phone in the SUV, but her first call wasn't to 911.
I just wanted to call my husband, and I called him and said, honey, I'm dangling from an I-4 bridge. Can you come and get me?
It's a call that breaks her husband's heart.
You got your loved one calling you, hanging on for dear life, and you can't do anything because you're so damn far away.
Thankfully, witnesses did call the authorities immediately. But for Christine, the time between the crash and the rescue seemed like an eternity.
I just remember holding on the steering wheel very tightly and just thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna fall. I kept thinking I just want to see my baby, I just want to see my husband.
But staying calm was crucial, so Christine took comfort in the presence of the rescue crew.
There were so many people standing by, and I was talking to them, and I think that really helped keep me calm, just knowing that there were so many people there waiting to help me.
Still, nothing could beat the feeling of escaping the dangling truck and stepping into the well-anchored rescue basket.
That's when I lost it. That's when I knew I was safe, and all my emotions came out.
Moments after her rescue, Christine is reunited with her husband, and the relieved couple are driven home very carefully. Today, Christine McMichael is back to being a full-time waitress and mother. She's a long way from hanging off the edge of that interstate overpass, but she keeps the Sanford Fire Department close to her heart.
If it wasn't for them, I would still be stuck there.
For firefighters in Montevideo, Uruguay, a blaze at a hardware store is much worse than it first seems. The firefighters break through the front door, only to find a monster waiting for them. Backdraft. The entire team bears the brunt of the blast. It's a moment, thankfully, few people will ever experience. But fire safety expert Dan Madrigal knows exactly what those guys went through.
The feeling is overwhelming. It's like being hit in the chest with a sledgehammer, powerful enough to knock the wind out of you. These are situations that do not occur every day.
But when they do, the consequences can be deadly.
This was very severe. This was a very critical operation.
That point is very clear to the men who have just been overcome by a shockwave of superheated, burning oxygen. Two of the firefighters suffer first-degree burns. But considering what a backdraft is, it's amazing that no one was killed. A backdraft occurs when a fire has burned all the oxygen in a closed space. The fire begins to suffocate, and the smallest amount of oxygen entering the space creates a blast like this one.
Spontaneous combustion occurs, therefore igniting all the contents that are in a room or area.
It happens in a split second, and anyone in its path is in big trouble.
The blunt force of the sudden rush of air movement coming out of that front door literally can knock firefighters off their feet.
But could they have avoided this fireball? Dan spots something that the men may have missed. This dense yellow smoke is a sign that the fire is starved for oxygen. Dan knows that heeding its warning could have saved these men some pain.
Once again, you see it. Oh, boy. It struck me emotionally because these are co-workers, comrades.
It's proof that the brotherhood of firefighters goes beyond national boundaries. Warning, no one without a helmet admitted beyond this point. This is the Kamikaze Drop, a rough and tumble bike trail snaking through the mountains of Mammoth, California. In the early 80s, it was a straight-ahead downhill slope, a place for hardcore cyclists to flex their speed. Of course, where there's extreme speed, there are extreme crashes. In recent years, the sport of mountain biking has evolved, and this trail has been redesigned to put the emphasis on skill and technique.
It's hard to say whether the equipment changed the courses or the courses changed the equipment. I think they kind of went hand in hand, and they just, keep leapfrogging each other, and it just pushes the envelope every year.
Though there are no longer as many speedy straightaways like this one on the old Kamikaze, the crashes are still abundant. The challenging trail twists through 3.5 miles of rugged terrain, and is scattered with natural and man-made obstacles. Staying upright is no easy task on the steep body bruiser. The new course is unforgiving, and if you hesitate for a second, your ride is through.
Yeah, it's important to not think about the dangers out there, because if you're focused on that, then, you know, you're probably not going to be aggressive in the end.
Still, most of the riders agree that it's a risk that keeps them coming back.
Well, the kamikaze to me has been in the past like the pinnacle of downhill. You know, I like to know that I'm pushing it.
So whether they come for the challenge, the thrill, or just the scenery, as long as bikers continue flocking to this treacherous hill, the kamikaze will continue living up to its name. 20 miles south of London, England, this tractor trailer carrying 40 tons of tomatoes and grapes went out of control and overturned. When members of the Kent Fire Brigade arrive, they quickly locate the driver and assess that he is uninjured. But good news goes bad fast. He tells firemen there is a small car crushed beneath his trailer. It appears impossible there could be anything under this trailer but the road itself. Sadly, firemen confirm they can see part of a tire under the wreck. The crushed compact is almost certain to be someone's coffin, but the firemen begin the intense process of trying to reach the victims. It won't be easy. The trailer is too heavy to turn upright safely, so they begin to cut its sides. Meanwhile, other rescuers use heavy lifting tools and wedges to raise parts of the trailer. After an hour, their efforts equal about 6 inches. It may be time to give up. But in a miraculous twist, a paramedic hears something from under the tomato-covered tomb.
Hello? Is it an adult we're talking to? Or is it a baby? 37? Right, 37-year-old alive in there.
The operation quickly turns from recovery to rescue when a 37-year-old housewife named Carrie Dutton calls out from under the tons of metal and produce. It's critical that doctors get to Carrie and stabilize her fast. But the extraction team can't move too quickly. Carrie may have internal and external injuries that are under pressure. If that pressure is released in the wrong way, she could bleed out in a matter of seconds.
Okay, is the car pushing down on you anyway? I want to be absolutely sure that when you do release the pressure, she's going to come out dead quick. There's not going to be a long pause.
The perilous process moves slowly while the extraction team works. Carrie continues a whispered dialogue with paramedics. Without their reassurance and encouragement, she could drift into shock. Finally, a path is cleared, and doctors move in to assess her condition.
What's her name?
Carrie is stable enough for the team to continue, but she feels every shift, cut, and heavy crunch of the twisted metal, and she lets rescuers know it.
Hold on. Watch that in a fight.
After 2 hours of